Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your attendance. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. With us here today, we have our Chief Technical Officer, Dan Cox.
Good morning.
Dan has a BA in accounting and a BA in business administration with emphasis in finance. He's a certified financial manager and a certified management accountant with extensive experience in the field. My name is Drazen Korok. I'm a newly appointed BDM and today tasked with a role of MC. As you're aware, today we'll talk about the advantages of creating a rolling forecast. Before we dive into it, and for those of you who are not familiar with Data Transformed, I will provide just a brief overview of who we are and our approach to corporate performance management. So as far as discussion points are concerned, we'll delve a little bit into an overview of financial performance management and current methodologies, and we will then run through a platform demo, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end. If at any time you do have a question, feel free to ask. Your mics are muted at the moment, but you can always type your questions in the chat box on the right side of your screen. Data Transformed Consulting is a specialist practice created to help organizations make better and more innovative use of one of their newest but already more strategic assets, their data. Data is already being viewed as the oil of the digital economy and being referred to as a gold rush of 21st century. And organizations everywhere are realizing that they have to leverage insights and monitor their data in the pursuit of greater corporate performance. At Data Transformed, we focus solely on corporate performance management. We believe in enabling our clients to better manage their business by helping them improve the use and visibility of their data. How do we do that? Well, in simple terms, we do exactly what our name suggests. We transform data by providing a clear view of your key performance indicators, and our focus on this is absolute. I suppose when we talk about corporate performance management, the questions that we need to ask ourselves are how. So how are we performing? For example, how's our actuals tracking compared to the budget? Which then can lead us to the next question, which is why. For example, if we had a sort of a 10% difference there, we will be able to drill down and understand where the difference is coming from. You may have had an increase of expenses somewhere, you may not have received an order from a particular customer and so on. And that basically leaves us to that final question, which is what? What should we be doing to perhaps fix the problem or reach the set objectives? So perhaps that was kind of a bit of a sort of a high level overview from a pragmatic point of view, I guess. What we do is can be broken in the following stages. We first source the data. We then prepare it. We then present it in a visual manner, which helps us better understand the whole process, and we then help you realize the value. I will now hand over to Dan.
Great, thank you very much, Drazen. It's really important to understand this particular process. So our pragmatic approach really aligns it with being able to have that singular platform to answer those three basic questions. Because if it is a singular platform, that means then when you decide to change a forecast or change a budgetary item midway through the year, the entire company can actually refocus their energies, because obviously then their KPIs change in their reporting, and therefore the business actually changes focus. So that's extremely important. And so what we're going to be able to show you today is the ability to do that very quickly and agile. But one of the major factors is the ability to actually monitor your workflow and monitor your budgeting process. So how many times would you have just loved to be able to see where your budget is at any point in time, whether it's the annual budget or even a reforecasting or even a rolling forecast on a given month. So here you can see we've got the expenses module that's been deployed out to multiple different regions across the globe and multiple different people responsible for each of those sections. In this particular case, I've logged in as an individual called Tom, and Tom is actually the supervisor and manager for the Asia Pac region. And there you can see in his region, he's actually lagging behind, and you can see that Europe and North America have actually completed their annual budget. And you can see that very quickly by the fact that there's a green tick mark. But you can see there that Australia is in the awaiting review mode, meaning that Tom now has the opportunity to either review that information and decide whether or not he wants to reject it or submit it upwards to be able to have it approved via the overall global effect. So the ability to get that very quickly makes it extremely nice to be able to know at any one point who's actually completed their budget, who's actually not started, and where you're at all times. Well, in this particular case, we could go ahead and review Australia. So here I can open up and see the information coming through. We can review that. We can decide to switch it between actual and budget. And maybe I want to go ahead and replace the replace the periods, and actually see a side-by-side based on January, or even take a full year view of that and take a look at, well, really we're extremely over budget. Extremely over our previous actual of salaries and benefits, and you can make a choice on that. And so in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and reject Australia, and that's going to allow me to enter in a reason why, and we'll say something to the fact that salaries and wages are very over expectations. Need to go back to the drawing room. All right, so that's actually going to email George, who's the manager of Australia, and send him in that note. And now you can see the status has actually changed, and we can see right away the last time it was modified, which was earlier this month. And now George will have to go back to the drawing board, take a look at his salary and wages that flows into his expenses, and be able to resubmit his work. Excellent. As well, I've already reviewed Singapore. I'm going to go ahead and submit that because I know they're doing quite well. And I'll say, great job. Now we can turn off the emails if you want, but that's a great way to continue that collaboration. So with that, and going into some of the 5 C's, I'll hand back over to Drozen to talk to you about the 5 C's.
Thank you, Dan. As Dan was going through the demonstration, I was just thinking about it, but yes, it may be worthwhile keeping in mind the 5 C's of the successful performance management. Our clients tell us that unlike the more traditional setup where they were using spreadsheets and were simply asked to fill in a spreadsheet by, say, someone from a finance team, with this process, we were actually able to get people within the organisation, senior managers and business unit managers and so on, to provide more of a sort of a consolidation approach. And as a result, and as Dan sort of demonstrated in real time, that consolidation is automatic. It's in real time, so it saves all that manual work. And as a result, we have an increased control because of the way the consolidation is done. A control is retained obviously by the process owner. As you can see, the things can be submitted and accepted or rejected. and the process is centralized and web-based, so it allows you to view where everyone is up to at any one time. One of the other things that we can get with this approach is also consistency. Consistency is retained through the fact that we are dealing with a single version here, and again, compared to, say, a more of a traditional approach using spreadsheets, there's no need to collate anything, there's no need to worry about anyone potentially making any errors, typing in a wrong number in a cell, typing over an existing formula, and so on. All of this leads us to the fifth C, which is confidence. We have an increased confidence in the process itself and confidence to drive the business to the next level. In today's rapidly changing business landscape, survival of the fittest is attributed to the rate of response to the market conditions and ability to adapt quickly. Companies are forced to be dynamic in adapting to changes to ensure their very survival. According to a recent survey by Accenture, it is only 11% of companies that are fully satisfied with their planning capabilities, compared to 17 and 20% 5 and 10 years ago, respectively. What we're finding is that companies which aren't expecting any economic volatility and operate via annual budgeting are finding it increasingly difficult to deliver results that meet expectations, be they internal management objectives or external performance goals. In such environments, senior finance managers need an accurate and relevant information on which to base their decisions. And by embracing this continuous planning or rolling forecast, companies can remain agile, focused and flexible in meeting their expectations. I will now ask Dan to proceed with the demonstration.
Excellent, thanks. Those are very important points, and obviously confidence of the budget numbers coming out and being able to present that to the board for sign-off is extremely important, and the iterative approach of being able to review, reject, and submit allows us the ability to make sure that we do have that confidence. And being able to have a singular version, knowing that one formula is pushed across the entire company, allows us the ability to really know exactly how the budget numbers are actually derived. So here again, I'm back on the workflow page, but you can see there that Thailand hasn't started at all. So I'm going to log in as Sudi and actually see what she can see and start her budget process. So as I log in, I've logged in now as Sudi, and we can see that she only has access to Thailand. So security is extremely important, especially if you have disseminated sales regions or different lines of business or business units, and they're responsible for their own given area. So again, we could go ahead and click on Thailand, open that up, and be able to see what she can see. And so I've done that. And we've opened up our expenses. You can see that we've got a number of different expenses down the left-hand side, and we can very easily see where we have the ability to enter information in. And those are the yellow highlighted areas. So we've got the possibilities of doing marketing, some training budget, some admin, office lease, some utilities, other office expenses, and a total for ourselves from operating expenses, some other expenses, and then totals. So if I wanted to come in and, let's say, add in a marketing budget, we might have a directive that we need to start out with maybe, let's say, $4,000. So it's very easy. Of course, you can go ahead and type in, but if you've got a number of months to span across, it's very easy. There's a whole bunch of different shortcuts. So I could say pound 4K, which will automatically spread that all the way across. So saving us 11 times to have to enter that in. But then you could also say, well, actually in June, I know we're going to have a seminar and some added features that we're going to start up because we're going to have a new line of business coming. You could go ahead and say, well, I'm going to say it's 6K for the rest of the year. And sure enough, you can see it's automatically spread, and I'll see that at the end of the year I've got a full budget of $62,000. But really, I'm feeling that that probably needs to be more. So I could actually decide that I want to break it back and say, well, I'm going to try for 75K and see how that breaks back. And you'll see there that based off of the seasonality that I've put in already, it's automatically broken that back. Now there's many other shortcuts we could do. We can refer to other line items. So if we wanted to bring in a seasonality of sales, then we could do expenses based off of the seasonality just by entering the row number. We can do multiplication, add, divide, etc. So it's really quite flexible, and the ability to see that information again as well if we wanted to take a look at swapping around. Actually, I'll go ahead and save that. And one of the items is that you've got the ability to either save or submit. So here I've actually hit save, which means it's now saved my work, and instantaneously throughout the workflow process, everybody all the way up to the P&L has been consolidated. So that allows instantaneously consolidation results. And if I jumped back to Tom's workflow and just refresh that, you'll see now that Thailand is actually in progress type state. Okay, so I'll flip back to her again, and again I'll just switch across so I can see actual to budget. And so it's very easy to get an alignment. Again, we can see there that budget versus actual allows us to get that information very quickly. And if, of course, I'm ready to go with this, I'm happy with what I've actually put in, I can go ahead and submit that information. Once I submit it, I've actually turned on the email, so I can say, all finished with the budget process. And that'll email off Tom, and he'll get that information. Okay. So one of the other portions to that, if I switch it back to take a look, you can see here that the areas where I could enter information is now locked. So for this budget cutoff, I'm locked. So now Sudi, the person that owns and is responsible for the Thailand budget for expenses, can't go back in and modify her results because that's a budget cutoff. So now when I take a look at Tom's workflow, and I'll just refresh this, you'll see that now it's awaiting review by me. So I can go ahead and reject that if I want to, or I could go ahead and submit that. And again, we know that she's not quite finished, but I'll go ahead and submit that up. And you can see how the workflow starts to go through. And again, because Tom is also the Asia Pac approver, he also gets the ability to approve any of these. So I can go ahead and approve that, and we'll see that it's now going to turn into a submitted green tick. So Thailand's completed. Excellent. Now that's wonderful for the ability to look and see information on the ability to manually enter information in, but what about being able to enter information in on a driver-based model? Well, our platform allows any sorts of assumptions that you want to make, including assumptions around payroll, around bank drivers, payroll drivers, service price books, etc. So in this case, I'm going to show you how we might do a travel cost, which is a driver-based. Okay, so here I've opened up again Sudi. She's now opened up her travel costs workflow. We can select her employees. So we can see she's actually allocated 2 employees. Now, if I were to open up a different organization, a different location, and they would have their sets of employees. So everything is based off of security throughout the system. So it's very easy to make sure that the right information is being budgeted against. So in this case, I'm going to select Nadar, and she's going to travel in May. The destination in this case is going to be the US. and we're going to go for 15 days. And as you can see there, it's automatically started being calculated, the information for the airfare, the hotel costs, and per diem. Now you'll say, wow, $90,000 for airfare, that's quite high. Well, actually, this is in local currency. So that's actually 90,000 baht. So it's allowing us to enter information in as the local currency. So again, I might select Nadar again, and they're going to go in October. This time they're going to go to France, and they're going to go for a 5-day event. Okay. Now in the background, the finance team has set up all these assumptions and allows you to control that information. So halfway through the season, you could decide, well, I need to update my assumptions. While you do that, it's automatically going to flow through, if you want, through the entire budget model, and it'll be recalculated instantaneously. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and submit this, and I'm going to say travel allocations are completed. Excellent. So now if I jump back into her workflow, you can see that should be travel costs should have been submitted. So if we work into, there we go. So we actually went into Thailand and see, must not have saved. Well, actually, let's take a look at that. Since I'm Tom, I can go into other information, and sure enough, it didn't flow through. So that's because we didn't actually submit the information. So we'll go back in, and we'll go ahead and enter her information in. Looks like maybe she's actually been logged out. We'll just relog back in for her. Okay. Okay, and we'll go into her model and reapply. So another security measure. It does log out the time, but I had logged in a little while ago, so please forgive me on that. And we'll go ahead and submit that. There we go. Now it's submitted. And now if we take a look at our workflow, there it is, waiting approval. She knows that it's waiting approval. I'll go back to Tom and just refresh his, and you can see there again, since Tom is the approval person, you can see that it's now waiting for their approval. So we could go ahead and submit that if we wanted to. The other part to that is, if I take a look back at the expenses now, as Tom, and I come into the budget, you'll see here that we've got some information coming through from travel. So before, when we looked at travel inside the expenses, it was not available to actually be entered, and that's because it was being driven by the driver-based input sheet. So now, if I wanted to focus strictly on Thailand, you can see there's the funds coming in on local currency, so automatically it's switched into Thai baht. If I want to take a look at what it is in Australian dollars, it's as easy as that. We actually pull the exchange rates automatically into our platform, so that allows us to bring the spot rate as well as the weighted average rate to do both P&L and balance sheet type information. Excellent. So the next part to this is obviously to take a look at how this is all put together. So if I look in at Tom, he's actually maintaining the budget model. He can see who, through the monitoring dashboard, the ability who's actually logged in, currently working on the information, what the model looks like, as well as the overall of how the model actually flows. Now this is quite important to understand the flow of a model. So what we've been showing is a very simplistic approach to this model, and we've got very complex models out with our clients. But just to give us an idea, we've been working on our travel costs, and you can see travel costs flow into our expenses. Our expenses then flow into our P&L, and our end result is a profit and loss. So the ability to actually go and have this automatically flow in allows us to see P&L at any time. So when I look at Tom, I can come into his reports and I can start to drill down on information to take a look at those types of reports. So I might just log in now and show you how we can extend these different models. So when we looked at the model previously, we were able to get to an end result of a P&L. And the ability then to look at individual reports that are automatically summed up. So these are consolidated based off of the information that we provided. So right away we can see where Thailand's sitting, total operating expenses. So if we wanted to switch to individual expenses, we could, and get that information based on actuals flowing through in different currencies. And go back to our total expenses. We can decide to drill down on an individual and select or deselect the information as needed to get a more pertinent information. Again, we can switch to different currencies, getting that particular reporting. We can also start to look at variance type of reports. So the ability to go from actual to budget and get our variance based on P&L and based off of looking at different areas of the business. Again, we're looking at different regions, but this could be different business units within the regions. It could be lines of business. It could be departments. It could be chart of accounts, etc. No matter what your business makeup is. Okay? So we can look at some of the standard type reports coming through. Again, being able to switch from budget to actual, switching from different dimensionality, so between different regions, etc., and getting that information. Excellent. All right. So I'll hand over to Drazen to talk a little bit about.
Well, I guess Dan just showed as to how easy it is to create, monitor, and consolidate an annual budget. Want to know how easy it is to make the adjustment to a rolling forecast? Dan, over to you.
Okay, not a problem. So the ease of being able to create a rolling forecast really is the basic item of what we're trying to discuss today. So you saw how easy it is to enter information in based off of a budget. Well, all we really need to do to move it towards a forecast and move it towards a rolling forecast is logging in and adding a new version. So back into our monitoring, we can actually do some maintenance to the model, and literally we can add a new version. So here you can see that I've got a budget and actual. I can go ahead and, if I wanted to, copy a version. So if I copy a version, that's going to allow us to move one version to another, and the ability to create a new one. So I'm going to create our forecast, and we can say this is January's reforecast if we want. So you can create as many as you like, and from there we can go ahead and maybe let's say we want to start from actuals, and so we can copy it across so we don't have to start from scratch, or copy our budget across that we've just completed so that we don't have to start from scratch as well. So it's now calculating, and as soon as that's done, then we're able to go ahead and enter information into a forecast. So now, I'll just wait until it's finished, and it's done. So I'm going to log back in as Sudi. I'll just log her out and log back in just to make sure. And now if we come to her, let's say, travel costs, we've now got two different models to be able to show our budget and actual. So it's very easy now to go ahead and update this, go ahead and change the information as we need, and of course then it'll allow us to consolidate that information. So if we're able to go back into Tom and see his reports, we'll be able to see, a budget version coming through, or forecast version coming through. I actually did that in the, sorry. We wanted to look at our, and you can see there, now we've got our forecast for January coming through. And the ability that easy to start to do a reforecast. And you can see as well that the data has come in through the previous version. You could start from scratch if you wanted to, but that allows us to add where we started and keep track and actually do comparisons between different forecasts, which then also allows us to go on to an actual rolling forecast report, which gives us that ability to see we've got actuals coming through and using our forecast at the end of the year. We actually haven't put in our revenue at this point, but you can start to see information coming through as far as our forecast information. Excellent. That's as difficult as it gets to move into a rolling forecast.
Thank you, Dan. Getting back to the presentation and some of our references. Our methodologies have been utilised by a number of clients who have found our approach to be beneficial to their company's performance, some of which are shown here. We'd be more than happy to facilitate a dialogue if you'd like them to share their experiences subsequent to engaging Data Transform to assist with their process improvement. In summary, I guess we've seen the advantages of a rolling forecast and the improved ability to anticipate risks and opportunities in the marketplace and plan accordingly. Rolling forecast can result in a number of potential benefits, so greater accuracy in your projections and budget, improved business decision making with regard to spending, as we were just seeing the expenditure demonstration there. What we can help with in that, and I'll just go through this in a perhaps a sort of a short bullet point form. We, in fact, we're today focusing on the blue section of the that you can see there on your screen, of budget and planning. But we actually provide solutions in 3 different areas. And our approach is really to have a single source of truth, which will be that green area in the middle, which is accessible anywhere via the web, which would have effective version and workflow control, and which will provide us with a truly collaborative solution that provides management and finance teams with real-time visibility into numbers to plan, drive, and monitor that better business performance. The yellow part, the visualization, I guess, is the an attempt to improve visibility, timeliness, and collaboration around the performance. And with the web-based platform, you have the ability to view that information anywhere, anytime. It allows you to make, I guess, better business decisions faster. The platform is this is not an ERP or an accounting system. This is a new generation platform, which is quite cost effective, and it will actually provide you with enterprise grade capabilities. And as you've seen there, there's features such as multi-currency, multi-reporting, depending on the location, department, business units, and so on. With that in mind, I think we'll conclude the webinar. We can now move on to the Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box on your screen. In the meantime, while we're waiting for questions to come through, perhaps you, Dan, can tell us about any of the projects you've been working on in recent times.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, budgeting and planning, it goes across to horizontally across to any sort of industry. So we're not necessarily specializing in any one industry, but we do have a lot of expertise, knowledge in many different industry segments. But we've done everything from fisheries and governments to television broadcasting, FMCG, distribution, education, and retail. So the platform is quite versatile and very easy to initially get up and running. So so some of the types of projects that we've been doing lately are extremely complex, and the platform's been able to minimize the calculations in a lot of the spreadsheets, and the ability to collaborate, be able to send that out to multiple individuals to be able to contribute into the budget. And we've even had one particular customer who's never had that capability before, to have any of the managers in their business actually contribute to the budget. It's always been a finance project and a finance process, and of course, when that happens, the business rarely owns that particular budget item and budget number. And with the ability to push that out and have the rest of the business contribute, they actually start owning that information, and the targets actually started getting achieved. So it's been a great learning curve for a number of our clients. The ability for us to help eliminate a lot of the wasted time of redoing your spreadsheets, consolidating those spreadsheets, and being able to move towards near instantaneous version control is one of the greatest benefits that the platform provides. It looks like, Drazen, some questions are coming through, so why don't we go ahead and look at answering some of those?
Yeah, one of the questions we have here is if we can just do actuals consolidations.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the nicest features around this platform is our Rapid Start type products. And one of our Rapid Start products is around consolidation of actuals. So if you've got multiple companies, multiple departments, or multiple legal entities, if you've got multiple charts of accounts, so whether that's historical changes in charts of accounts, or you've acquired or you've moved from one accounting system to another, we can do the master chart of accounts and mapping very quickly and easily inside of our platform, and the ability to update and change those, and to be able to do consolidations, eliminations via actuals. And typically that's what we do as one of the first steps is to do a consolidation exercise, and then based off of that, then start building the budget models and applications that extend the actuals and the consolidation and elimination platform.
Okay,
Great question.
Thank you, Dan. Also, is the budgeting platform online and mobile?
Absolutely. So almost all of our technologies are online. What does that actually mean? So that means that you can access our platform from pretty much anywhere at any time and via pretty much any device. So that allows the contribution of line managers and their disruption of their day to be very minimal. On the other side of that, we host a lot of our clients, so the ability to not have to worry about infrastructure installation or upgrades, we take care of that. However, we do also have a number of clients that want the application on site, on their infrastructure and their servers, and that's just fine. So we have multiple ways of actually deploying it, but it is completely web-based. Even the development is completely web-based, and it's very easy to get that understanding and take ownership and do all of your own customizations. So yes, it's 100% web-based.
All right. Well, thank you, Dan. Another question I have is the way to get started. Can you get started quickly?
That is a very good question, because every business is different, and typically every traditional budget and forecast implementation is a customized approach. However, on our platform, we've actually got, and I previously started to mention, rapid start packs, and we've got one for consolidation and one for forecast and budgeting, and that really gets you up and running in a number of days instead of a number of weeks. And it's very easy to customize on top of that. So if you've got interest in getting started right away in a number of quick days, then definitely get in touch with us and talk to us about that.
Well, thank you, Dan. That seems to be all as far as questions are concerned. I do have a question of my own to add to that list. I understand that our audience today is from a finance with a finance background, and you were sort of demonstrating the financial type budgeting. But would you mind telling us just a bit more? Could we use this platform for any other type of planning within the business itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically we do start out with financial budgets and with the finance department to build their capabilities and get that annual report out of the way. However, your business is dynamic, and we can model just about anything. I haven't come across any sort of area where we couldn't actually set up a model and to be able to contribute to that. So things like workforce management. So the ability to understand your shifts work, your manufacturing work, so the ability to enter in shifts and then have that drive costings and payroll and hiring processes. There's also the reverse, of course. If we have a particular target of revenue, that can actually filter down to the number of hiring processes as well, and do the workforce management in both ways, bottom up and top down. So we've also done many things around promotional planning. So 2-for-1 type planning in retail type settings, or discounts, vouchers, etc. Be able to see the forecasted revenue for campaigns as well. And of course, if we're talking manufacturing, demand planning, and actually integrating that with your ERP system as well. So we can model what you want as far as demand planning, and then that can push in the number of widgets and the number of lines and the reprocess to set up and times as well. So there isn't much that I haven't come across where we can't actually model and do so. We've even done academic type of areas for capacity in rooms. So the number of students inside of a room dictates the number of number of teachers that we may need, which of course then rolls up to how many additional teachers we need to hire, or of course possibly let go. So every industry that we pretty much covered: professional services, products, FMCG, distribution, you name it.
Thank you, Dan.
Good question.
Thank you, Dan. It's appreciated. Thank you for everyone who attended. We hope you found the webinar beneficial, and once again, thank you for your time. We would be more than happy to provide any additional information if we're required, so feel free to get in touch on phone or email. With that, we'll conclude today's webinar. So thank you once again for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Excellent. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.